so we can have greater stability and growth in our country. These resources are extremely important to Ecuador, and they will need the support of the U.S. for that. This does not mean that we will continue working on other programs for financing projects and other mechanisms that we have been using with the U.S., such as the TFC, who finance some of our important projects in infrastructure and energy in Ecuador.
Muchas gracias. La siguiente pregunta está
Thank you. The question will be asked by John Hudson from the Washington Post.
Gracias. Mr. Secretary, when it comes to the drug trade, Venezuela is not the most problematic country, but it is a major U.S. adversary. Should we expect smugglers coming from friendly U.S. allied nations like Mexico and Ecuador to also face unilateral execution from U.S. forces? And if so, will the administration seek authorization for the use of military force?
No, you're wrong in your question. Number one, Venezuela is a major source, and the reason why is the following. And I've seen a lot of this reporting, and it's fake reporting, and I'll tell you why. It says that somehow Venezuela is not involved in the drug trade because the UN says they're not involved in the drug trade. I don't care what the UN says. The UN doesn't know what they're talking about. Maduro is indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York. That means the Southern District of New York presented the evidence to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted him. And then a superseding indictment came out that was unsealed about a year and a half ago that specifically detailed Maduro's actions. So number one, let there be no doubt, Nicolas Maduro is an indicted drug trafficker in the United States, and he's a fugitive of American justice. Number two, for cooperative governments, there's no need, because those governments are going to help us identify him. They're going to help us identify him. Now, they're going to help us find these people and blow them up, if that's what it takes. They're going to help us with it. I don't know if you saw yesterday Trinidad, a country that has suffered greatly from all these drugs coming out of Venezuela, they were congratulating us for it. They thought it was a great thing because they've suffered from it. So we're going to continue to hunt for, like we always have, but this time we're not just going to hunt for drug dealers with the little fast boats and say, oh, let's try to arrest them. No, the president has said he wants to wage war on these groups because they've been waging war on us for 30 years and no one has responded. But there's no need to do that in many cases with the friendly governments, because the friendly governments are going to help us. They may do it themselves, and we'll help them do it. La pregunta fue sobre si los Estados Unidos va a tomar medidas.
The question is whether the U.S. will take measures. First and foremost, Nicolas Maduro is a narco-trafficker. This is not just me saying it. It's a grand jury that says so in New York. In New York, the prosecution presented the evidence, and he was indicted. A grand jury of the people of New York. And 2 years ago, a new indictment was put forth detailing the role of Nicolas Maduro, especially during the Chavez years with drugs. You say, oh, the UN don't agree. I don't care what the UN says. I don't care. He is a fugitive of the U.S. justice. He's not the legitimate leader of Venezuela. We never recognize him. He is an indicted fugitive causing trouble in the region, and he was indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York. The second question is whether we'll have similar actions to what we had a few days ago with narcoterrorists with allied countries. And I can tell you that in these countries, perhaps it won't be necessary because these countries will cooperate with us. They will be working with us in those actions for Venezuela. They can't cooperate with us because they're part of terrorism. They're not a government. That is clear. Nicolas Maduro is not a government or a political regime. They are a terrorist organization, an organized crime organization that had taken over a country so that they can become the leaders, so that they can become billionaires. And that is why they were indicted by the courts in the U.S. But with Ecuador and other friendly countries, they're cooperating with us. In Venezuela, there is no legitimate country or cooperation. They are, in fact, involved in.
And for Mr. Sommerfeld, do the agreements that you mentioned, do those include taking third country migrants deported from the U.S.? And is Ecuador agreeing to do this in exchange for security aid that Secretary Rubio just announced?
Muchas gracias por la pregunta.
Thank you for your question. When we talk about cooperation among friendly countries, this is a comprehensive cooperation that entail and benefit one country and the other. In this case, in the migration policy of President Trump, these types of agreements as a safe third country are very important for people who are in the process of seeking refuge. Ecuador will support the U.S. It's symbolic and important for our partner. We will do so in a coordinated fashion by protecting the interests of the Ecuadorian state and given the right that the Ecuadorian state has to reject those that we believe are not positive for our country, and we won't accept their paperwork. So, of course, we will do so because this is important for our partner. As Secretary Rubio just said, we have a broad cooperation framework in several issues. Migration is one of them. President Noboa, the fight against illegal migration is very important because it also is part of transnational organized criminal groups that benefit from the suffering of civilians in the region and in our country.
Muchas gracias. Damos paso ahora a la pregunta de
Thank you.
Salazar.
Denise Salazar from Visionarias. Good morning, Foreign Minister. Your opinion, how did Marco Rubio receive the explanations received by the ministers that were part of the meeting regarding the conflict between the Ecuadorian state and narcoterrorism? And for you, Secretary of State Rubio, you spoke about the possibility of having a military base installed in Ecuador. Thank you again for your question. How was this information received? Well, it's information that is exchanged every day through our borders, and it is received through diplomatic channels. These meetings where we have a chance to see each other personally, eye to eye, to hear our voices directly, they're so important. This is where you can see that we share values, that there is a good relationship, that we are all focused on the same goals, because the goals that President Noboa stated for his government are very similar to those that President Trump has. We're seeking to fight organized transnational crime, terrorist groups. We want prosperous and economic growth and prosperity and economic growth in our country, fighting irregular migration, and to bring Ecuadorians back to Ecuador so that they have a safe program so that they can be safe in other places in a safe environment. The information that we have received so far by President Noboa himself, through the information that was given to him through the ministers, was very well received, because we have seen different angles of what is happening in Ecuador and what is also shared every day through diplomatic channels. Yes. I didn't see anything new, because we are talking all the time. All the time we're in constant communication through our embassies, and so we're very well aware of everything that happens, and I personally know everything that happens, but it's important to see each other personally. These visits should be seen not just as a visit, but as a signal of how important we believe our relationship with Ecuador is regarding the military base. Ecuador is a sovereign country. If they invite us, we have to be invited. If they invite us, we will consider it. In fact, we had a military base in the past. We were asked to leave, and during Correa's administration, we left. If we're invited to come back, this is strategic. We will study it, see if it makes sense, if it helps us. And if we can help with illegal mining, narcoterrorism, and illegal fishing, which is extremely serious, if we can help with that, we are willing to consider it. This is something that the President and that the Department of Defense will make. But if we are asked to do so, this is an ally and a friend in a strategic location. They are a sovereign country, and they have to invite us to come, and we will take this into consideration.
There's nothing in the meetings we haven't discussed in the past because we're in constant communication through our embassy, through the personal relationships that we have, and I follow the issues very closely and have been very familiar with Ecuador for a very long time. These visits are important, though, because I think they signal how much we value our relationship with Ecuador, how important our relationship with Ecuador, and how much we appreciate the cooperation and the cooperative spirit in which we interact. The other question was whether we were considering military bases. Look, Ecuador is a sovereign country. They'd have to invite us. We used to be here. In 2009, we were asked to leave by Korea, who didn't like us very much and I guess wanted to help out the narco traffickers. And so we left. But if they invite us to return, we will consider it very seriously because it's a request of an ally in a very strategic part of the world.
Muchas gracias. Finalmente, tenemos la
So in
pregunta de
closing,
Sean
we
Tandem
have
de
a
AFP.
question, Sean Tandem from AFP.
Hi. Thanks, Secretary Rubio and Madam Foreign Minister. Mr. Secretary, if I could go briefly to another part of the world. There have been moves by members of the Israeli government toward annexation of the West Bank. It's been discussed. This is explicitly a step to bury the prospect of a Palestinian state, which you publicly opposed. Does the United States either support or accept these moves? The United Arab Emirates have said that this is a red line, that this would jeopardize the Abraham Accords. Related to that, to the Palestinian state recognition moves, you've in recent days suspended or revoked visas for members of the Palestinian Authority, but also, as you understand it, ordinary Palestinian Authority passport holders. Do you see this as a long-term move? Does this show that you don't see legitimacy of the Palestinian Authority?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Palestinian Authority has its own set of problems. Pay for slay. You know, they pay people to kill Israelis. We have problems with them too. Obviously, Hamas is at a different category, but we have problems. Look, we told all these countries. We told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire, and it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions. So we're watching it closely. I'm not going to opine on it today, other than to tell you that we predicted this would happen. We warned everybody it would happen. But nonetheless, some of these people decided they wanted to move forward with something that's illusory. You know, right now, we should be focused on how do we end this war in Gaza? How do you eliminate Hamas? How do you disarm Hamas? That war could end tomorrow if Hamas just disarmed and surrendered and released the 20 hostages, which shouldn't even be there. It would end. Hamas refuses to do that. So, but that said, you know, we don't like the humanitarian suffering. We've offered a lot of aid. We've provided a lot of aid. We're prepared to provide aid now, and we're prepared to provide a lot of aid after the war ends as well, along with other countries around the world. But as far as what you're seeing with the West Bank and the annexation, that's not a final thing. That's something that's being discussed among some elements of Israeli politics. I'm not going to opine on that today. What I am going to tell you is it was wholly predictable. We told all these countries before they went out and they did this, we told them that if they did this, if they went through with this thing, there wasn't going to be a Palestinian state, because that's not the way a Palestinian state is going to happen, because they have a press conference somewhere. And we told them that it would lead to these sort of reciprocal actions, and it would make a ceasefire harder. And by the way, let me tell you something. The day that the French announced their thing, the thing they did, that day, Hamas walked away from the negotiating table. They immediately increased their demands and walked away and stopped negotiating. So we also warned that would happen. And it did. So, but sometimes, you know, these guys don't listen. They do what they're going to do because of their own domestic politics, which is fine. But these are consequences of that.
Bueno, el Ecuador mantiene una posición muy clara.
Has a very clear position. We have rejected terrorist actions caused on October 7th, 2023 in Israel. She said 24. We are against any terrorist act or any action against civilians. On the other hand, Ecuador has supported from day one the position of Israel of returning every single one of the persons that were held as hostages, civilian hostages. We historically recognize two territories, two countries. They have diplomatic missions in our territory. This is historically true in Ecuador. We think this has to be solved soon to prevent suffering and make it clear that we will never support terrorism.
De esta manera damos fin a la rueda de prensa.
This takes us to the end of our press conference. We thank you for your presence and allow the authorities to leave first, please. Remain where you are.
No, I understand. Right now, he's like, it's not going to happen. Okay, we just right now, like Chris is like all the way in the front, so